followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. As we gather here as a council, let us remember that we are here to govern our town with the interests of our community being a priority. Let us respect each other by showing courtesy and appreciation towards all. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can we have roll call, please, Sheila?
Councillor Mangini.
Here.
Councillor Matthews.
Here.
Councillor Pisner. Here. Deputy Mayor Santinella.
Here.
Councillor Thomas is absent. Councillor Ungary.
Here.
Councillor Zanoni.
Here.
Councillor Allegro.
Here.
Mayor Sakala.
Here.
Councillor Crisati.
Here.
And Councillor Hall.
Here.
10 members are present, 1 is absent.
Thank you. Item 4 is the fire evacuation announcement. In the event of a fire and emergency, there are 2 means of exits to the council, one behind you and in front of us, and one to my left and your right. Either way, please exit and go a safe distance away from the building. And if you're going down here, please go down the stairs and exit into the parking lot. Item 5, minutes of preceding minutes. Can I get a motion to accept the special meeting of January 5th, 2026? So moved. Second. Thank you, Ken. Any discussion, deletions, additions? All in favor? All right, 10 in favor, none against. And can I get a motion for the regular meeting minutes of January 5th, 2026?
So moved.
All right, first and second, any changes, additions, deletions? Sensing none, all in favor? 10 in favor, none against. All right, thank you. All right, number 6 is special guests. So we would like to invite any of the former town council members who are in the audience, and I see several. So Ken, Jeff, Jim, come on up, please. And if we can have this council go to So the current town council really wanted to have you guys back and just sort of express our appreciation for all of the time and the energy that you put in. Not many people know, unless honestly you're standing up here, what it's really like. All of the effort, all of the time away from your family, your full-time jobs or part-time jobs, the things that you like to do in leisure time. It is truly a thankless job, and even the willingness to stand up here and sit at that dais and dedicate your time to the town that we know you love. We really appreciate that. And we appreciate all of your years of service, and we would just like to thank you. So they have these plaques made for you, and just a round of applause. Yeah. I don't know if anyone wanted to say anything besides Ken, because I know he does. Of course he does. But would you like to say anything?
I just want to say I'm not sure all of you wanted to see me back here, Gina. So, yeah. But I agree with every word you said. To want to see a council fail, regardless of what party, is like hoping the ship you're on sinks because you don't like the captain. I wish you guys 100% the best. I said that the night of the election. I truly believe that all of you have the best interest of Enfield at heart. It's just how do we get there? And that's where the disagreements happen. In the end of the day, we're all friends, and the goal is to work together and move Enfield forward. So I want to thank you all for stepping up. There's a lot of new faces, and that's what it takes to move a town forward. So congratulations, and I wish you guys the best.
Thank you.
I'd just like to thank you all for doing this. This really means a lot, and and the whole staff, everybody. Being back here tonight and getting a plaque is great. Thank you.
No, I appreciate the recognition from the town council. Thank you, town staff, for honoring us today. I'm still here working for Enfield, doing as much as I can. If you ever need any support, feel free to reach out. Go Enfield. Thank you.
Let's try to get a picture now.
Thank you. All right. I know Steve wants to get a picture before anybody leaves.
All right.
And act like we took one last time.
All right, cheese. And, all right. Thank you.
Thank
All
you,
right.
guys. Oh, she does. Okay. Go right ahead. Oh, all right. So Lori has something. If you all just want to grab the envelope that is by your seat, I guess. Okay. Right? Oh, you want us to go back there? That's okay. Just kidding.
I'm sorry.
Oh, we're not opening it? Yes, you can. Oh, yeah.
It's like Christmas. We can open it?
Draw these? Did you draw these?
That's cool.
This is incredible. I will say the camera adds 20 pounds.
I appreciate no white hair.
Right next to the toilet that's gonna be next to it. It's worth a shot. I can take 2 seconds to, I gotta take 2 seconds to hug Jane, just in case she goes before the meeting's over.
I love that I have no wrinkles and no white hair. Not a white hair on it, no wrinkles. I really appreciate you.
In my younger days. Amazing.
Make more people want to
All right, I gotta go.
All right, thank you, and thank you to the council members that were here. We really appreciate that. I know, and Lori, thank you so much for our pictures. They're beautiful. I know you had something to say. Feel free.
Yes, I just wanted to say I love this community, and I really enjoy being on the council and working with all of you. And I think we all make each other sharper and smarter, and I just appreciate the privilege of being here, because this is really a place of being a servant to the town. And I just enjoy all of you, and I just wanted to make some little memento, and I was going to give it out before the election, and that didn't happen. So I'm giving it out now so I can appreciate Jim and Jeff and Kenny, and I have some for the other fellas too. So I just want to say thank you. It's just a little memento.
Thank you very much. It is very lovely. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, on to number 7 on the agenda, which is public communications. Any resident or resident taxpayer who wishes to address the council shall first be recognized by the chair and shall state their name and address for the record. You get 5 minutes the first round, and after the first round, if you want an additional 3 minutes, you can. During item 14 on the agenda, if it's before 11 o'clock, and it will be, each person shall get another 3 minutes. Public communication shall be limited to 1 hour unless we extend it by majority vote. And all remarks shall be addressed to the council as a whole, not individual members, please. And all remarks addressed to the administration shall be addressed to the town manager. So I have the sign-up sheet. So Vincent Casada, you're up, please.
Hello, am I close enough? Okay. I watch them on TV and I never hear half the people, so I wanted to be sure about that.
As long as the light's on, you're good, and just
Okay.
name and address.
Okay, my name's Vincent Casada, 1 Circle Drive, Enfield, Connecticut, and I'm a lifelong resident of Enfield, as well as a retired music educator of 39 years. And out of those 39 years, I was 38 in Enfield. And I'm here to speak in favor of adding 5th grade instrumental music. As a music educator in Enfield, I've taught at the high school level, and I've also transferred to the elementary level after I got engaged. And one of the reasons I transferred was because the school system, when I was at the high school, went through similar types of budget cuts. And the high school music program was really suffering, and I felt I could have the biggest impact at the elementary level because that's where it all begins. And as you know, a feeding system is sort of like an upside-down pyramid. And you have most of your kids at the beginning in 5th grade, and through natural attrition, the numbers get lesser and lesser as they get up to the high school. And if we don't start enough kids in 5th grade, in a couple of years, you're not going to have a high school band, or it's going to be very, very small. And I know they're doing some things after school to compensate for what's happened with the cuts of 5th grade instrumental, but they really need it to be part of the curriculum and during the school day. Because if they don't do that, a lot of kids are being left out because they don't provide transportation at JFK, and that means a lot of kids who have parents that are both working will not get a ride to JFK, so they won't be able to play an instrument. And once they get into middle school, it's a lot tougher to get them to start because kids are less likely to take chances in middle school because they're worried about trying new things. They want to be cool. So when they're in 5th grade, that's the ideal time to start them. So I just wanted to speak in favor of that and say how important it was, and hopefully you'll be willing to fund the 5th grade instrumental music program, because you're not going to have a high school band in a few years if you don't. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. Mr. Young.
I remember to sign up tonight. George Young, 8 Holly Lane, Enfield. I missed your last meeting, but was very glad a counselor on the majority party took the hard line and did not allow the 2/3 vote needed to pass the 2 related resolutions. Just because you think that a mandate has been given to you because others voted out anyone else, you might have misread many of the intentions. We are not just blindly approving all school budgets and requested funds. These resolutions were not an emergency type and are properly on tonight's agenda. Resolutions 13H and 13I are both related to the Board of Education. In spite of your conclusion after this, I want you to know that we are not anti-education, but we demand accountability and for you to explain to us what you are doing. Let's put the clock back to May 19th, 2025, the council meeting. In that meeting, the Resolution 13F, prepared by John Wilcox on May 14th, stated that the town received its first payment of $332,726.60 under the MOU between the town and the Board of Ed. That would leave a balance of $1,368,681.28 still owed to the town. On the same day, the council appropriated $98,500 of that payment for social services grants to outside agencies that support Enfield residents. On the same day, May 19th, the council used $234,226 of that payment above to increase the appropriation for the Board of Ed and apply it to the fiscal year 26 budget, which we are presently in, and increase it to $79,332,249. As you can see, the past council used the payment from the Board of Ed for social service grants and to increase the Board of Ed appropriation. So all the money was used. Now we come to January 2026, and the council wants to terminate the MOU, which I was always in favor of to begin with the Board of Education, and subsequently eliminate the $1,328,639.81 of the original $1,701,407.88 that remains unpaid according to the Resolution 13H. These numbers make no sense. I explained above that the only payment made was in May of 2025, and that would have left a balance of $1,368,681.28, with a payment due in fiscal year 2026. How did the other $40,041.47 get paid? Or if the prior information about the May 25th payment was incorrect, and they paid their scheduled payment of $340,281.87, that would leave a balance of $1,361,126.31. Perhaps John or some council person can explain this better than the council meeting information we have received. As I mentioned before, the Board of Ed received $234,226 at the beginning of this fiscal year, as noted in the May 25 council resolution. And now in Resolution 13I tonight, they want another $285,000 to fund an additional music position and needed school equipment, which I don't see a list of, but I presume it's fine. I would recommend that that be voted down, since they already have a lot of money this year. Haven't the taxpayers contributed enough to fund the school budget this past year? On another subject, I sense we are wasting time and money by the council interviewing for another town attorney, when the one we have has done an incredible job and no replacement is really necessary, so I think you should reconsider that. I look for an update when the annual comprehensive financial report for 25 is going to be completed. Perhaps the town manager could comment on that tonight. Thank you. That's it. I'm done. Goodbye.
Thank you, George. Angela Foss.
Angela Foss, 16 Crescent Beach Drive, Enfield, Connecticut. Good evening to both the new and returning council members. I have been advocating for the replacement of the Parkman roof for about 4 years now. As you know, the 2021 referendum was passed. Yes, 2021. I received an email from the town council member stating that the promised summer of 2026 Parkman roof replacement may not happen. The new schools, if they do happen, may not be completed for another 6 to 8 years. Replacement for the Parkman roof was originally slated for 2022. We are already 4 years beyond that date, and therefore the issues with the leaking roof are only getting worse. A constantly leaking roof causes a multitude of health issues. According to the plan presented by Donald Nunes, which you can still watch on YouTube under Enfield CT Town Council Roof Referendum 2021, stated that a referendum was needed to replace the school roofs. The referendum passed. Where is our roof? Since the passing of the referendum in 2021, the roof at Parkman has only been band-aided by outside contractors and DPW. Every year that I come to speak to the town council, I am met with agreement, confirmation, and votes to complete the roof. Every summer passes, and I'm told that it will be completed next year. The last time I was here, I was told that the roof was slated for 2026. All of these previous delays on the part of whomever is making these decisions is not the fault of the students or the staff at Parkman. Yet we are the ones in the building for up to 10 hours a day. I would look at the town attorney for information. regarding the next true statements that I will make regarding recent events at Parkman. Is this a case of fraud? Fraud is an activity that relies on deception to achieve a gain, and here are some of the facts. Towards the beginning of November, a company came. They took samples in the space between the ceiling tiles and the roof, and there was no report on these samples for public viewing. The Connecticut general statutes that I have forwarded to the town attorney state that any inspection results must be made available at board meetings and on the school district website. Air quality reports should be available for anybody to view. Where are they? The only reports that are available are done by just the normal school staff. And they did not see the major areas of discolored wet ceiling tiles that exist because they had been removed by the custodian about 2 hours before the people arrived for their tour. I've enclosed a photo showing all of that and dates for you on your website, on your email. Then on December 17th, we had an HVAC company opening all the HVAC systems and testing. I spoke to the man in charge of the group, and he told me that he is from SNE HVAC from East Granby. And I spoke with him a bit, and he told me that they came last August 2024. None of these results are posted where they are required. All tests, no matter why they're done, must be posted by law. Persons at the DPW should not be expected to know the law. He told me that there are many issues with the system and that they keep telling those in charge, but nothing ever gets fixed. They're here just to inspect, not to do any repairs. I asked him if I could have a copy of the test, and he said, of course, I will send it to your custodian today via email. And you can just ask him for a copy. I asked the custodian, who told me he never receives a copy. Who receives a copy? And who is not disclosing the information to the public? You can't tell me that the results from August 24th are not available yet. And here is some more picture proof of what I was talking about. I then reached out to one Board of Education member and 2 town council members for copies of the results of these tests. And those board members were all told that no outside testing has been done, which is a false statement. The teachers, the staff, and the students were all in the school as witnesses. And now I am here before you and asking for a copy of all outside tests and requesting that they all be posted as required by Connecticut state statutes where they are supposed to be posted and when they happen. Why are these reports not being released? I can only presume that is because the results are not acceptable. Are these results being hidden to not follow through with the necessity of replacing the Parkman roof this summer? It's like a group of people witnessing a tragic accident and nobody willing to tell what happened. We need full disclosure. Want to know why the students and teachers are sick? Now they're talking about tearing the school down. And gee, I wonder why. I believe the town manager, the DPW, is looking the other way.
Your 5 minutes is up. Do you have just a little bit?
Yeah. I can come back, though. Come back.
Thank you. Pam?
Oh, good. Hi, good evening. I'm Pam Townsend, 54 Kimberly Drive, and I'm here representing the Enfield Veterans Council. The chairman is at another meeting tonight. And
I'm James Maloney, 39 Westview Drive, Enfield, and I'm also here representing the Veterans Council. So recently, as the entire country is also celebrating our 250-year celebration of the Declaration of Independence, the Veterans Council put together a group or a committee to recognize our veterans here in the town of Enfield. So while I shouldn't, everybody already has the background on it, but one of the biggest things about the Declaration of Independence, at that particular time, prior to the Declaration, of course, we had a Continental Army, we had a Navy, and we had a Marine. The reality of the whole thing is the Declaration would never have been, it would have ended up as a piece of paper and not an actual freedom for those members who were here in the colonies. It would have ended up as a piece of paper, probably in King George's fireplace. So to thank all of those who heeded the call, we put together a group in celebration for those who fought for our freedom and put this committee together to recognize all the men and women of Enfield who have served in our armed forces and or are serving today. We had a small ceremony here in the council chambers, and we presented to each veteran in attendance a certificate of recognition, as well as a U.S. flag and a veteran's coin. As the chairman of the committee, I'm here to represent the committee and thank the members of our town council for their support and their presence at the program, and thank our veterans for their dedicated service to our nation. We did have quite a few council members at that presentation. The Veteran Council and our committee greatly appreciate that, and we thank you all for all of the support that you give us and everything that you do for the town of Enfield.
And I have one more comment. I'd like to thank the employees of Enfield, the town of Enfield, for their support in helping us with the logistics of some of the things that we had to do for the ceremony. So that was greatly appreciated. Just accessing the building, they made that a little bit easier. Buildings and Ground came up and reset the whole room in a different direction, which helped make the ceremony run a little more smoothly. So we really appreciate all the support that the town has given us and the town council has provided to the veterans. Thank you so much. Anything else? Good. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone who is looking to speak for the first time that did not sign up? Anyone for the first time? Okay. Angela, you can come on up. You have 3 minutes.
Angela Voss, 16 Crescent Beach. So I just wanted to end with, we need full disclosure. You want to know why the students and teachers are sick at Parkman? Now they're talking about tearing the school down. Gee, I wonder why. I believe that the town manager, the DPW, is looking the other way. So the school can still be utilized, but they realize that the air quality of the school is compromised. And if the results were made public, they would no longer be able to use the school as it stands. And this provides a bigger problem than the town of Enfield can handle. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else for the second time? Anyone else for the second time? Okay. Public communications is closed. Moving on to number 8, counselor communications. Any counselor member looking to speak? Counselor Mangini?
Thank you. I do want to thank our Veterans Council for the wonderful ceremony that I was honored to be able to participate and worked on the committee with my colleague Marie. It was phenomenal to see all the veterans come through, and it truly is an honor. And, the Veterans Council does such a supreme job in our town that I think people maybe are starting to become aware of the good works that you do and honoring those who fought to protect our freedoms. I just want to say thank you again for all the hard work. It was a beautiful ceremony, and I know that each and every veteran was very appreciative. I got a lot of hugs and some kisses, and it was just phenomenal. So I want to say thank you for that. I also want to mention that the Rotary Club is sponsoring banners for veterans from Enfield. If anyone is interested in purchasing a banner, reach out to the Rotary Club or Michael Cottonor. We've got different sponsorship dates. The first period ends on February 26th. The flag would be $115 each. The second period ends July 14th, and those flags would be $130 each. But it's
If you do it after the 27th.
the 27th
Of February.
Right.
Okay.
But then it ends on the 14th.
Okay.
But it's a phenomenal program. Other towns have done it and are continuing to do it. But it just shows our honor and respect for veterans that we have in our community. And those flags will continue Veterans Day, Memorial Day, until they need to be retired. So I just want to say again, thank you to our vets. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Ungary, did you have your hand up? No? Okay. Councilor Zanoni?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First and foremost, I want to echo Councilor Mangini's comments. It was amazing to be there and to see so many special people get the recognition that they deserve. Just to address a few comments during public communication. First and foremost, I heard something about a $40,041. That was paid by the Board of Education in October, so we had correspondence that Councilor Hall had inquired about that we got back, so that is where that money went. I personally think, regarding these two resolutions, I don't think the Board of Education has received enough money. I think that's a conversation that we have to have of why we're here and why many of us ran for office, is that the Board of Education has been deprived of a lot. So that's my comments on that, and I'll continue on that when those resolutions come forward. To Ms. Foss, I'm going to briefly respond in my kind of position as chairman of Joint Facilities and my perspective from that end. I know DPW gave a response, and maybe the town manager will allude to that in his comments. Here's the reality. I think it's a tough sell to residents that what they agreed upon and what they voted for 4 years ago can still be upheld, because the reality is we would no longer get the state funding, because if we were to do this under the current timeline with school modernization, we would be on the hook for millions of dollars in state reimbursement money. So when the residents voted for this project, they were under the interpretation that they would receive reimbursement for the state. That is no longer going to be the case. And 6 to 8 years, what we were looking at in Joint Facilities is that these buildings would be demolished in 2030, in 4 years. And I think there are serious questions about whether it is appropriate to invest in a building that we are going to demolish in 4 years. And it's been a long-standing history in town to invest in facilities for one use and then change it, to invest in a facility and then shut it down, or to fail to invest in properties we already maintain and then buy new ones. We have continually made a fool of taxpayer dollars, and this is just the pinnacle of it, to spend millions of dollars on two buildings that we are going to demolish in 4 years. It just doesn't make sense. But what also doesn't make sense, Angela, is doing nothing. And what we're doing now, the Band-Aid approach, and that's not acceptable either. And there's not a single person on the committee on Joint Facilities that believe that what we're doing now is what we should be doing either. And I think there was interest in finding an intermediary solution that can target the areas that are presenting issues in that building so that that building can make it the next 3 to 4 years until it's reached the end of its lifespan. There is no intention that if those roofs do not go forward, that what's happening now is acceptable and it's going to continue, because that is not the case. We are going to look at options. I'm not really specific on what they're going to be, but I understand they're going to come before Joint Facilities so that we can find a solution that can get us over those 4 years. And so I just think that's really important for people to understand, that the situation has changed from 4 years ago. The committee in school modernization, the work they're doing, and we have to make decisions on the go about what's best for taxpayer dollars. I don't know why it took 4 years. But what I can say is when I got here at this moment in time, it doesn't make that much sense for the taxpayers. And so that's my perspective on that issue, and I'm sure hopefully we can get more information as to some of the other statements you made that DPW had responded in more detail. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Pisner.
I've got a few things. In response to Mr. Casada, I'll be honest with you, I thought the 5th grade music program was already up and running. So I said that to you earlier. I thought it was up and running. So.
It's sort of like a Band-Aid approach, but
Okay.
it's not what
But, and we'll get more into the appropriations of where that money's going later, but I really did think that that was already up and running, so I apologize if I was misinformed. It's okay. George, thank you for bringing us back in time. Where'd you go, George? He left. Oh, he left.
He has
One and
pool.
done.
He has pool
Okay,
tonight.
George, well,
Tuesday's his pool night. So.
Okay, well, George, watch on TV, and I'm just giving you a shout out. Thanks for bringing us back in time. Angela, I agree. Parkman, I agree. Should have been done. Didn't get done. And now we are at a crossroads. So, Pam and the Veterans Council, Cindy said it. It was an honor to be on that committee, an absolute honor. We were given no direction and no money. And they just said, go do it. And I think together we did a bang-up job. We celebrated 180 veterans that signed up for Enfield here, and we aren't stopping there. Today, I had the privilege of going to the All-American with Pam and Lucian and Jim and Dawn. Tomorrow will be Little Sisters of the Poor. We're moving on to Parkway, as well as we are going over to Suffield by the River. So there will be no Enfield veteran that will be forgotten. So and we apologize to any veteran that didn't get the information, because we did work diligently. If Cindy saw a name or I saw a name, I was like, no, I know they're veterans, let's reach out to them. So we really did our best to make sure that every veteran was contacted. And the ceremony was amazing. We saw a lot of Korean War veterans, which really appreciated it because they consider it the forgotten war. And there were several of them that got to talk to each other, and it was just really a wonderful, wonderful day. But there's another shout out that we have to say today to Pam Townsend. So Thursday, I have my day screwed up, I'm really sorry. Thursday, Pam will be going to Hartford to be inducted. Rocky Hill. I thought it was at the, no, it's Rocky Hill.
It's Rocky Hill.
Thank you. But she's going to be inducted into the State Veterans Hall of Fame. Okay, so. Is there another husband and wife team inducted? Because I think you and Lucian are the only two, because Lucian got it last year. So there are two no more deserving veterans than you and Lucian. You have stepped up. You take care of the veterans in our town. And there are not enough thank yous for what you do. And I know it's an honor and a privilege every time I do a program with one of you, because I know it's going to be done to the best of your ability. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So that's it.
Thank you. Councilor Hall.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick response to Angela. Angela, check your email today. The report that was done was forwarded to you. You got a copy of it, because I got a copy of it and you were on the email. So
It's a month before the one I wanted. It's not the report I wanted.
So this is the one that we requested that they said was the one you were talking about. If it's not the right one, through the mayor to the town manager, can we check to see if there's one that was done after the one you forwarded? You can answer under town manager comments on that one. But you were sent the 66-page one. You got it tonight because I got it tonight. Then the second question through the mayor to the town clerk. I had a question from a veteran, and I don't know how we handle it, but it was from a local veteran that had moved within our town. So he moved from their house to an apartment, and he wasn't sure, he fell off the veterans list. So I guess it's done through, he told me it was done through the clerk's office, the veterans list that we have. But he said he was on a list. When he moved residence, he fell off any sort of list. So maybe you can answer how we handle that if a local veteran moves. Is it an automatic transfer, or do they have to re-come in when they move? So
They do not have to refile with the town clerk. Okay. Once they file their DD 214, it's on record forever.
Okay.
We've had veterans that move out of town and then move back in, but they do need to notify the assessor that they've moved. So I don't know if he had his benefit being taken before with his home, and so now he's in an apartment, so he needs to have it changed to his motor vehicle, but he needs to speak with the assessor's office.
Okay, so that has to go through the assessor's
Correct.
office.
But
Okay.
his DD 214 is still here and
Still
and
there,
active,
so he
yeah.
doesn't have to do anything
No.
with your department. Okay, great. So that answers that. And then everybody has said everything about the Veterans Council and this ceremony that we all attended and were happy to participate in. It was amazing. And I thought the turnout, even though you sent out, you said over 1,000 invitations, I thought the turnout was great. I mean, it wasn't 1,000, but to get anybody to come out, especially in the middle of winter, I thought it was amazing. I thought it was amazing everybody came, and the fact that they were all so grateful that the town and the Veterans Council had done this for them. It was a beautiful ceremony, and a lot of people really appreciated all your work. And the people up here that worked, Marie and Cindy, did a great job with the Veterans Council, and Pam and Lucian and the whole Veterans Council. Thank you so much. I know I appreciate it as a wife of a veteran, as a mother as a veteran. My father and my grandfathers were veterans, so we all appreciate everything you do for us. So thank you. And then the only other question and comment, it'll go back to the roof piece. So I know this is going back to joint facilities, but I think what we do need to find out, and we do through joint facilities, and this is more probably directed at you and your committee, Zach, is we have to kind of look at a backup plan should the referendum not pass. So to Angela's point, if it fails, then we have a roof that really needs desperate replacement, you know? So through the town manager, through the mayor to the town manager, Matt, when are we going to have hard numbers for the entire council on what the cost to repair that roof is, if that's the decision that the council makes, is to forego the roof and repair it? Do you have an idea of a timeline on when we might have the hard numbers?
So we were anticipating that a resolution for council to act on would happen February 2nd. To the next meeting.
Okay.
We're not going to have exact numbers, but we do have an understanding of a not to exceed number that we'll have.
Okay.
And so that'll all be part of that resolution.
And details on what's specifically going to be done on the roof, like not that we're going to get up there and look for leaks and fix the leaks. So we're going to have a detailed description of what kind of work they're going to be doing.
If you want that, it's going to be months, because we'll have to bring someone in to do a lot of analysis on exactly what has to happen.
I think we got to do that. I mean, I would.
Well, so understand what I'm saying is that is what we will do.
Okay.
But we will not be able to have that
by February.
By the meeting the 2nd.
Okay.
So what we're going to present is, again, some understanding of what that process is going to be to ferret out exactly what we have to do, and an understanding of a not to exceed number.
Okay. All right.
So we
great.
can get those points. But it's just, if you want detail of what exactly is going to be done, we can't give that to you, but we can give you the detail of what we're going to do to get that done.
Gotcha. And we'll have a cap.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And one last quick point. I just want to thank all the previous council that came in tonight and the ones that didn't come in. We truly, and Gina said it beautifully, really, because people don't understand the amount of time and commitment that this position entails, and it truly is a commitment. And it's a commitment not only by the people that sit up here, but it's a huge sacrifice of the families of the people that sit up here, because you miss birthdays, you miss holidays, you miss all kinds of celebrations, and it truly takes your whole family to allow you the privilege to serve. So thank you to all the members that came tonight. We do appreciate your service, and thank you for being here and allowing us to honor you for a short time. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Crissati?
Yep, thank you. First of all, to Mr. Casada, Vin, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. You know, when you're talking about a feeder system, and I think the music, fifth grade music program is very important to the development of, you know, the music program in general. You know, it gives them a start before they get into the middle school and then on to the high school. As you well know, Vin, being in all the different levels of being a head of the music department at the elementary school and heading up Enfield High School's band and orchestra for a number of years, that the importance of music and education is important. So we will support that. I will support the adding of the music department, the music program, the fifth grade music part of the curriculum. The other thing that I just want to mention, once again, congratulations to Pam on your induction to the Connecticut Veterans Hall of Fame, to the Veterans Council, and Jim, and all the work that you did for this, the members. Once again, being part of that program was pretty special, and thoroughly enjoyed the afternoon and the number of veterans and the number of veterans that were there. The only other thing that, and it was already addressed to Ms. Foss in regard to Parkman, you know, based on Councilor Zanoni's interpretations and the information that was supplied by Mr. Nunes and through the town manager, given the information, and if all the information there that wasn't given to you, you'll receive it. And but once again, you know, dealing with the pre-referendum, being on the pre-referendum committee, knowing that Parkman is one of the schools, and knowing that we're going to address the roof in the event that the referendum doesn't pass. You know, this is something that we're also taking into consideration, but you know, this is a tough call with the taxpayers' monies, as Councilor Zanoni had mentioned. One final thing through the mayor to the town manager. Once again, been getting several emails and calls in regard to the evaluation of the fields and ADA compliance. I know that we've sent out an email regarding that, so I'm kind of looking forward to getting an answer on the evaluation of our fields for ADA compliance. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Town manager report.
Good evening. Just wanted to make sure you're listening. That's all. I know you're busy. But, a few things real quick before I get the question I was asked. Goal setting starts tomorrow, so look forward to having everyone there. 5:30. Okay. Yes, there will be food. I've heard.
A special dinner.
Just so you know my availability, I will do my best to be available to you all the time, as always. But we have started the budget process, so there's a lot going on right now. So if it takes me a little bit of time to get back to you, it's probably because I'm in a meeting trying to understand how we're going to spend all this money that we have or don't have, one or the other. But that is going forward. As I think most of you would know, there was a desire by the Historical Society to put together a new lease agreement for the Old Town Hall. And there was one that goes back many, many years. It expired. I think that was a point of contention, getting that moving forward. We have drafted a version that I actually provided today to the Historical Society to start the discussion. I wanted to get something out to them first before we started sitting down with council and engaging you on this, because I think there's a number of things that my guess is you'll agree with what I put in there. And I wanted to put some language in there to start the discussion so we get it closer to where I think you can start looking at it, most likely through one of the subcommittees, is my guess, to start out, and then ultimately to the whole council. But that process has started, and I'll be meeting with the Historical Society sometime in the near future to start getting closer to a document that we can bring forward to council. I'm going to jump. I have one more thing, but I wanted to jump to the Parkman roof. So what you got to understand is, you know, in any of our buildings at any point in time, there are a lot of things going on, and we have people coming in and out doing a lot of different things for us. But as it relates to Parkman, there's two primary things that are happening over there, right? There's one is the roof replacement, and that really started in earnest probably early in 2025 when they started getting all the documents together and going through the state school process, which at the point that I arrived in July-ish, we had kind of started proceeding to the next step, which is getting the engineering work done. And the engineer doing that work is Fuss & O'Neill. So when you ask for a report from Fuss & O'Neill, it's going to be about the roof replacement. And again, you all received a copy of DPW's response. I'm going to post that on my website or on my page of the website tomorrow so everyone can see it that would be interested in it. So if you ask for a Fuss & O'Neill report, it's going to be roof related. And what they had done was really looked at the hazardous materials in the roof and underneath the roof and all that. So that's really what that report is, right? Now, the other thing going on is the requirements that the school has to have every year that look at, you know, I guess it's the IAQ, which was what my understanding when it came from Councilor Zanoni, that he wanted that report. That was the report that he was asking for. That is posted on the school's website, not posted on our website. All this information gets turned over to the schools because they are the responsible party to post those things because they control the buildings, right? The last couple times, we've had to get outside contractors to help us go through the mechanical piece of it. So as you might know, most, if not all of our buildings are up on a system that you have to be somewhere in the very astute digital computerized world to understand. We don't have that competency on our staff anymore to do those things, right? So we have to get a contractor, which is SNE. And so I believe they did the last report, which would have been in 24 or 23, I'm not sure exactly when it was done, which should be posted on the school's website. Should be, because that's, again, where that gets posted. The current one that I believe is what you're asking for, in that response back says that we have not yet received it as of today, but as soon as we get it, we will, again, we'll provide it to you because you've asked for it now. We'll make sure the school, I assume, posts it where they're supposed to post it, and that's what we're supposed to do. No one is turning their backs on this. You know, that's a little bit offensive to me to say, because, you know, as most of you know, we are striving to do everything right here in the town. And it just, you know, it's not an accurate portrayal of what we are doing. But we will get that. As soon as we have it, you will have that. And then on something less serious, Steve, give us an update on the concert series.
What a segue. So to just give you some warm thoughts on this cold, frigid winter night. I started recruiting sponsors again, and I got 2 sponsors to commit again for the concert music series. Adam Winstanley Enterprises has graciously agreed to donate money again, and USA Waste and Recycling is also going to contribute. I'm still working on Ardioli. And my boss has challenged me to even raise more money if I can, and I don't know if he wants Taylor Swift or something, but I'm going to try to get some more money. And what a nice segue. I don't know, Vin, you sang, your band came one year, didn't you? 2 years. And if you have any interest again, give me a call. He was one of the biggest draws, and it was really nice to see past generations of students and current students coming together to support him. What a sense of community it brought everyone. It was a great night. I remember. So we're going to start. The selection committee for bands is going to be fired up soon, and we're going to go forward and hopefully give you guys another great concert music series. It's one of my favorite parts of this job is just seeing all the smiling faces as they walk away. And not one dime is spent with taxpayer dollars for all these concerts. So that's my personal goal. I want to keep doing it for here on out. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Question,
Counselor
Gina.
Paul.
Just a quick question, Matt. Do we know when the testing was done that specifically, I mean, I could ask Angela, but through you, when was the testing done that we have not gotten the results back from yet?
I don't know if that was in the response. No, I don't have the exact date, but I'll get that.
Okay.
Yeah, because they would be doing all the buildings. I don't know particularly what day that was, but
Okay.
I'll find out.
All right, that'd be great. And if it was in the summer, or late, no, it was recent.
It wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't
Okay.
have happened probably until I think November, December timeframe.
Gotcha.
It was, yeah.
Okay.
Because that is a requirement that has to be. The first part, which was completed on time, had to be done, I think, before January 1st.
Okay.
And that was what was reported, or that part was reported out at a Board of Education meeting, which I actually attended for another reason. So that would have been, I think, in December, early
Okay.
December, that meeting.
Okay. All right.
But that was an ongoing and a piece that, again, generally takes a little bit longer for us to complete because we have to get someone from the outside to come in and go through all those different controls.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Town Attorney report.
Good evening, everybody. And I decided today to take the opportunity to let everybody know the state of the town attorney's office in terms of the cases that it's had through year end, the cases we've handled in-house, as well as those that have been outsourced. And to that end, I did want to set the table a little bit in terms of when I started with this. The town attorney's office historically has always had 2 full-time lawyers and 1 or more secretaries plus the town attorney. In September of 2023, Maria retired, which left Mark Serrato as the only full-time town attorney, so it created a vacancy that remains open to this day. We have not been able to, attempts to fill it didn't work out. In October of 2023, former town attorney Talberg notified everyone that he's not seeking reappointment. He took 2 of the cases that had been pending for a while with the town attorney's office that Maria had been handling it, and he outsourced them to Shipman and Goodwin to handle. So those are the LaQuarrie cases that are still to this day being handled by Shipman and Goodwin. So as of January 1st, 2024, when I took over, there were 6 remaining land use and or tax appeal cases pending, being handled in-house by the town attorney's office. And so that's what I started with as of then. The first day, I had a meeting with Mark, and we decided to try a different approach in terms of not just waiting for these cases to come to trial and languishing. And so we adopted what we called a non-litigative dispute settlement techniques, whereby we wanted to resolve pending claims and also future suits or claims as they came to us. So we then used mediation through the courts on all the cases that I'm going to show you, and we were highly successful in those. I asked Sue Roach to prepare a case flow chart so that I have one for each of the members of the council, if I may, to pass it out.
Yeah, this would have been wonderful to have before right now.
Excuse me, pardon?
I said I would have loved to have this before right now. I didn't know you were doing this tonight. We'll take it.
Yeah. That's what starts off with. That's what starts off with all of the cases handled in-house. And I do have some for Matt, Steve, and Sheila. I also have 10 more in the event anybody in the public would like to follow. If I could, perhaps Sheila can pass them down. Thank you. So if you take a look at the first sheet, top of it says lawsuits handled in-house by Town Attorney's Office January 1, 2024 through December 31st, 2025. There basically are 11. 6 of them were old ones. In other words, they were there when I took over, and there were 5 new ones. And if you look at the first column on the left, date filed in court, that'll tell you whether it was prior to or after January 1st, 2024. And the first one is, of course, prior. It's May 25th, 2021. And that one was an appeal of a ZBA decision, so it's land use. And that, as you move to the right, case outcome, June 24th of 2025, a motion for judgment in accordance with the stipulation was granted. And we put on law firm as the town attorneys, date assigned to outside counsel, not applicable. And comments, the comment that we had was that Maria originally handled this case for several years prior to her departure, but then actually I give a lot of credit to Mark Serrato for successfully resolving this long-standing case. I'm not going to go through every single one, but I do think it's important that you know that of these cases, they're all resolved now. As I was doing this today, they're all resolved except for 2, and one of them got resolved today with a hearing. That would be if you go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th case down. It was filed on February 7th, 2025, Douglas Valley. It's another land use appeal of a decision for ZBA and Forgani Terrace. That one had a remote hearing today, and it was the motion for an amended stipulation of judgment was granted by the court. The one that's still pending is the second one listed on the sheet. That was filed on April 13th of 2023. Jarmark Real Estate versus CBA, and that's on 147 Abbey Road. It's been ongoing for quite some time. I've attended mediation with it probably within the first 2 or 3 months that I was here back in 2024, and Mark handled the case in terms of any of the court hearings. And with that particular one, there is an agreement between all the parties, and the Zoning Board of Appeals has also concurred. And all we are waiting for is for Russo to finish a map, which we will then put in, and that's to be done by February 24th of this year, 2026. That's the only case that's still pending now with the town attorney's office. As you can see, most of the case, almost all of the cases, all of them were resolved by settlement, for the exception of the next case down, which is Fred Joseph's Inc. That's the Jimmy's Pub Pizza Palace case, and that one was filed in 2023. It's a land use case in which the Jimmy's appealed the ZBA decision, And Mark successfully argued the ZBA's case, and it resulted in a memorandum of decision in favor of the Enfield ZBA on April 10th of 2025. So the cases that we have on land use, they were all either resolved in our favor or they were, or it was won. And part of the reason is that the non-litigative dispute settlement techniques we were using were fair, reasonable, just, and our theory was, and our goal was, we wanted to bring people into compliance with regard to our ordinances and laws. We weren't out to get scalps based upon who wins and loses. We're very concerned about being fair and to everybody. And also what we found is the boards also were good in terms of listening to us, because it wasn't just the plaintiffs that sometimes were off in it. Sometimes our boards were not quite interpreting things in accordance with the law. But it all ends up where things worked out good with that, so those cases are all gone. The next ones down are tax appeals, and the two cases we had at the beginning were Camerer versus the town. That's Grassmere Country Club, Golf Course, excuse me. That was filed on August 29th of 2023, and again, that's a court mediation one that was resolved in April of 2024. Judgment was entered. The next one down was Enfield Square Realty. That's the mall. And with that one, Enfield Square Mall, that tax appeal, again, was rendered stipulated judgment in December of 2024. The next one down was CDW. That one was filed in 2024, and that one judgment was rendered June of 2025. So you can see we're moving on with each of every month or two, we're trying to tackle all these things. And then Hamlet Homes, which was filed on June 12th of 2025, so that'd be a new tax appeal. That's at 32 Bacon Road. And again, judgment was entered August of 2025. Catholic Cemeteries versus the town, that's probably more in what everybody remembers here, because that tax appeal judgment was just entered in December of 2025. The only other case we got that I put in this column, even though it's a FOI complaint, was a matter of Christopher Riley versus the town of Enfield. There's also a federal lawsuit that he filed, so I put this FOI complaint in our column because we handled it with the FOI, and the complaint was dismissed. So that is an update on all of our cases handled in-house from when I took over. So we basically are holding just the one case left, and hopefully Russo finishes the map by February 24th, and that would resolve it. On the next part down, you'll see where it says lawsuits, hearings, and claims handled by outside counsel. During the same time period, we had 4 old cases and 4 new cases for a total of 8. But I start off telling you about foreclosures. This is the second to the last grouping. And foreclosures are being handled by the Green Law Firm, and the Green Law Firm has handled foreclosures since May 8th of 2019, and that's by written agreement with the town attorney's office. And of course, that predates me. Then the next and the last column on page 1, personal injury and property damage claims and lawsuits. Those are all handled through KERMA. Those are the insurance cases. So the town's insurance carrier assigns counsel in all of those cases. And as you know, we have an obligation to cooperate with KERMA, but we don't handle those cases. Although I will say that they are somewhat time-consuming, because the town attorney's office does work with the assigned lawyers even on insurance matters, because we want to make sure that the town is still protected. Then if you go to the backside of your page now, and again, continuing on with the lawsuits and stuff handled by outside counsel, the next one right at the top is labor. Through the Human Resources Office, HR has all the details of all of their cases, but Shipman and Goodwin has been handling those cases since the early 90s, and I believe it was around 1994 when it was codified through the council that they wanted to assign to appoint Shipman and Goodwin as outside counsel for all labor matters. So the town attorney's office actually has not handled labor cases in all those years. The next group talks about, it says about Town of Enfield versus Stallings. That's a 2019 case. That's a collection, and collection matters also. We do not handle it in the town attorney's office, so that's Green Law Firm. And again, they've handled all these since about May or July of 2019. The following case that again was here when I got here was the P&Z La Quarry matter and Inlands Wetlands as two separate files. And these were based upon, originally handled by Maria for several years before she retired, extremely time intensive in terms of what she had to do there. So when she retired, that's the one that Talberg then assigned it to Shipman and Goodwin. So they've been handling it since October of 2023. The next one is another one that was here when I got here, Lodestar Solar Farm. In November of 23, the council decided that they would like to advocate and try to get intervenor status and then object to an approval of an application for a solar farm on Town Farm Road. So that one was assigned through the council to Jeff Merman, and he handled that. It ended up in October of 2024. A declaratory ruling was approved the proposed solar farm, and the town council decided not to appeal anything beyond that. The next case was a new one after I got here. This was a town employee, Todd Helms, who filed an FOI against the town of Enfield, the BAA, and the BAA chair. The reason I sent 1/3 of that case to Shipman and Goodwin is we regarded it as a labor matter since it was a town employee that had filed as a complainant, and we had 3 parties. So I represented one of the parties, kind of as outside counsel for no additional charge. Mark Serrato represented one of the parties, and Shipman and Goodwin represented one of the parties. It ended up being a successful defense as the complaint was dismissed on February 19th of 2025. The next case listed is the Hernandez matter, which started in December of 2019. That's the one that went to trial in federal district court on the ADA matter. And on that particular one, coverage was denied by the town's insurance carrier, which was Travelers. The matter was then outsourced to Attorney Talberg. Even though he's town attorney, he could take matters to represent the town as a litigator in this private litigator in this particular case. And he represented the town, the Board of Ed, and Walter Kuzel as outside counsel. And he was outside counsel through the trial and post-judgment motions. The judgment was rendered against the town on June 14th of 2024. Only $10 damages were awarded, but the problem with that is that it allowed the court to order the town to pay plaintiff's attorney's fees of $1.3 million. The legal fees that was paid on that to Attorney Talberg was $210,639.89. That's as of February 3rd of last year. Then a new part of Sarah Hernandez I put down was because after all the post-judgment motions had been heard, we had a executive session to discuss this, and Mark and I encouraged the town to appeal the attorney fee award because we thought that the court had made a major mistake in its interpretation of a case that we thought made the attorney's fee award excessive. The council allowed us to go ahead and hire independent counsel on that. So we hired Wes Horton of McElroy and Deutsch on April 15th of 2025. And as a result of a pretrial conference in the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, they had an expedited mediation process whereby it didn't cost us any more for attorney's fees for the other side, and the court bought the argument that Mark and I had come up with, and so the attorney's fees was $1.3 million. Attorney Talberg succeeded in having it reduced to $1,024,945.80, and then we were successful through this outside firm getting it reduced to $685,000, which resulted in a savings to the town of just under $340,000. And then we actually think that that's one of the major things that accomplishments of these past 2 years is we kind of stopped the bleeding on all of the money going out, because there's a lot of money that is spent outsourcing. As you can see, we don't have control over the labor or collection or foreclosures. And but on this, we did have some control. And so we ended up actually saving the town a lot of money, which paid for all of the rest of the outsourcing for that particular year, even though we didn't have anything to do with it. And so then the last couple of cases, we have the town of Enfield and the citizens group that is appealing a Board of Health decision in East Long Meadow. And this one, again, started I guess August of 2025, and at that time, the town council decided it wanted to appeal what's called the Deer Park Recycling Facility application because of the environmental impacts and the traffic that it would have on negatively on the town of Enfield. So that we did hire the firm of McGregor, Laguerre, and Stevens out of Boston. They've appealed. That appeal is pending, and it's pending up in Boston, Massachusetts. So retaining counsel from Massachusetts that's licensed to practice there, especially in this specialized area, was necessary. And so the last case we have that got sent out was the Christopher Riley versus Kerma matter. It involved alleged civil rights violations. This was April of 2025. And Mr. Riley sued in federal court Kerma, myself, Chief Fox, and several other people. And they, so outside counsel was hired through Kerma in April of 2025, but there were no fees necessary to be spent with it because on June 20th of 2025, the federal judge acting Sosa Ponte dismissed the entire case. That means he acted on his own motion, took it up, and dismissed the case. So that's the extent of what we did with litigation. And I do have a couple more things, just because, so people don't think that's all we did is those cases. What happens in the town attorney's office is we also keep a log. And I think it was the deputy mayor that asked me about institutionally, how do we preserve things in the town attorney's office? And to that end, the log requests we keep track of are ones that are questions where they need our help on contracts, RFPs, ordinance revisions, interpretations, legal opinions, and other legal matters. So we had, over this 2-year period, 473 of those specific requests. The log work does not include any work we do on pending lawsuits, claims, phone calls, visits to the office for legal guidance, emails, things of that nature. It didn't include Woodsonia, which occupied a tremendous amount of time, impact residential development, Deer Park, which, as you know, we referred to outside counsel, but also I attended a lot of different hearings on behalf of the town and night in charge for instance, July Friday night in East Long Meadow, they have a Board of Health hearing that I attended, no cost to the town. The Little Sisters planning zoning matter we resolved. That took tremendous amount of time, but it prevented lawsuits from both sides. And so that's some of the things that we do. And again, Mark Serrata does a fabulous job. And the collaboration with the theory of we don't, just because somebody sues you doesn't mean you got to go to the mat and go the whole 15 rounds. And so we've been very successful, as you can see, cleaning up a lot of stuff that otherwise languishes here. And the more things we're able to agree and resolve and settle, the less likely it is to get a surprise at the end if you do have to try something like happened with Hernandez, because that was a shame to have go through all of that time, energy, and end up getting whacked like that. So anyways, I've enjoyed the 2 years there, and I look forward to hopefully getting favorable consideration for another 2 years. And so with that, does anybody have any question on anything?
No, I think we're going to go to number 11, report of special committees.
I had one clerical thing, Madam Mayor.
A clerical question?
Yeah.
Sure.
Thanks. So just under fourth here for the case name for Raffia Road Incorporated versus the ZBA, I'm not sure of that existing, and I'm sure that you know that could be my family owns the property. That should be Raffia Farms Incorporated. They own the property, and I checked the property card while you were talking.
Well, that could very well be. These are internal charts that we're just kind of putting together.
I just think
if we were to file something formally in court, we would make sure we had absolutely the name correct. There may be some typos in here, and so on. This is just something for our use that I decided, well, I might as well show it to you guys because you're asking about it, and it's that time of the year where it's good for you and the public to know that its legal interests have been handled well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Reports of special committees, number 11. Any reports? Okay. Number 12, unfinished business. There is none. 13A, under new business, is the consent agenda. There is numbers 1 through 4 under the consent agenda. If I could get, is there any discussion? I don't need to do a motion to approve, right? I've totally forgotten. Okay. Yes. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of approving the consent agenda by raise of hands? 11 in favor, none against. Thank you. 13B, appointments of the Town Council. The Enfield Culture and Arts Commission, a vacancy is due to the resignation of Daniel Keaton, and the recommendation is Chris Gann. If I can get a nomination.
I would nominate Chris Gann for Enfield Culture and Arts Commission.
Second.
All right. Can I get a motion? Any other nominations?
Move to close nominations.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All in favor of closing nominations? Thank you. That is 11 in favor, none against. And by a show of hands, all in favor of Chris Gann? 11 in favor, none against. Thank you. B2 is loan review, and the recommendation, there's a vacancy. A recommendation is Jen Brett.
So moved.
Second.
I had a first and a second.
Move to close nominations.
Motion made. Can I get a second? And
Second.
seconded, thank you. And all in favor of closing nominations? 11 and, is that 11 over there? 11 in favor, thank you. And none against, and any discussion? All right, all in favor of Jen Barrett? That is 8 in favor, against? 3 against, any abstentions? Nope, 8 and 3. C, resolution to transfer funds for extra construction work at the transfer station. And I'm going to read the resolution, and then we can kick it over to you, Matt or Donald, just for a brief overview. Be it resolved that in accordance with Chapter 6, Section 8A, 8F of the Town Charter, the following transfer is hereby made from Capital Non-Reoccurring Fund, Annex and B&G remodel of $15,481.51, and construction services from Capital Non-Reoccurring Fund B&G Storage Building of $31,680.24 to Capital Non-Reoccurring Fund Transfer Station in the amount of $47,161.75. Date prepared 1/9/26, prepared by Donald Nunes, Director of Public Works. Okay, any motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Either Donald or Matt? Just briefly. I know we discussed it in joint facilities. This is work that has already been done, and I know it took a long time to reconcile those bills.
So, good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Councilors. Donald Nunes, Director of Public Works. Yeah, this project ended in May of '23. Most of our contracts, construction contracts, have a one-year retainage period. We call it retainage, and we hold back money. We hold back 5% of the account. So in case something goes wrong within a year, we can, and if the contractor happens to balk, we have some remedy to fix the problem. Since 2024, we've had no less than 6 DPW people working on this project. 3 are no longer in the employ of the town. So there's been multiple project managers that have dealt with this, and we've been working with the contractor since then. I want to give a big thank you to the last person I worked on in my admin, Joanne Sopolak, who has been working diligently for the last 6 months or so to get this to the point where we've in final agreement, the numbers all match, and this work was done in the past. So just for example, the second to last pay app that we got was on May 28th of 25. So again, the contractor has been taking a little while too to get through. We've had some other, we've had other projects for him to do as well. So then he's also had a different project manager that's been handling this. So there's been a variety of delays in getting this. But we're at a point now, this is a solid number, and we are comfortable with everything.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Sensing none, roll call, please.
Councilor Mangini.
4.
Councilor Matthews.
4.
Councilor Pisner. 4. Deputy Mayor Santinella.
4.
Councilor Thomas.
4.
Councilor Ungary.
4.
Councilor Zanoni.
4.
Councilor Allegro.
4.
Mayor Sakala.
4.
Councilor Crisati.
4.
And Councilor Hall.
4.
11 members in favor, none against.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Item D, discussion regarding revisions to the property maintenance ordinance and resolution setting a public hearing. Be it resolved that the Town Council will hold a public hearing in the Enfield Town Hall Council Chambers at 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, on Monday, February 2nd, 2026, at 6:45 p.m. to allow interested citizens an opportunity to express their opinion regarding the proposed revisions to the Property Maintenance Ordinance, Chapter 14, Article 4, Sections 14 through 171. 14-171 through 14-210. Date prepared 1/9/2026 by the Office of the Economic and Community Development.
So moved.
Second.
First and second. This is just setting a public hearing, which will be at right before our next town council meeting. And I know that Blight has been working on revisions, so this is the opportunity for the public to come in and voice their suggestions or feedback. So any additional questions? Councilor Hall.
Just a quick comment. So what the folks can take a look at is the rough kind of outline of some of the changes that came through the Blight Committee. But this is not a finished or final document, so we do want to make that pretty clear. I think John would agree with me on that. We really would like the general public's feedback on what they think of this document. So it's definitely an open discussion, and please take a close look at it. It is going to impact your properties in a way of how you upkeep and what is considered blight and what isn't. So it is a really important document, and we want feedback on it. So please take a look and come out to the hearing if you have any feedback or suggestions on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Crissati?
Yes, thank you. Before I make a public comment in regard to the actual ordinance, once again, I definitely want to hear from the residents in regard to what they think about the changes that were made on here. And remember, this, once again, is a working draft. So I guess my question is, once the public hearing is complete, will this go back to your committee for a final draft?
So,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, yes, good. That's the shortest answer I've given all year.
Perfect. Moving on. No, I'm just kidding. Was there anything you wanted to add? No. Okay. All right. Any other discussion or questions? Okay. Roll call, please.
Counselor Mangini.
4.
Counselor Matthews.
4.
Counselor Pisner.
4.
Deputy Mayor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Thomas.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
4.
Counselor Zanoni.
4.
Counselor Allegro.
4.
Mayor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crissati.
4.
And Counselor Hall.
4.
11 in favor, none against.
Item E, resolution authorizing the reduction of property maintenance fines at 3 Cook Avenue. Be it resolved that the Enfield Town Council does hereby authorize the reduction in property maintenance fines from $125,274 to $1,000 associated with the property maintenance lien recorded August 27, 2014 at volume 2607, page 991 for the property at 3 Cook Avenue, with the condition that the $1,000 and the delinquent property taxes are paid in full at the closing. Date prepared 1/9/26 by the Office of Economic and Community Development.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I had a first and a second discussion. Any comments?
So,
Counselor, Deputy Mayor.
yeah. So this is coming to us with a recommendation to reduce the fines, as the mayor read in the resolution, to $1,000. This property has undergone quite a transformation from where it was to where it is now. The owner is going to sell the property. She will have some funds available to herself after the sale of the property. But through the mayor to the town manager, there's been a bit of history here, and I don't know if you would like to add more context to this. If you don't, that's fine.
I think the only thing I would add is we are going to have social services reach out to make sure that if there's anything that can be done by the town during this period, we'll do what we can do.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. And so that's all I had.
Thank you. So this is a recommendation coming out of
Yes.
the Blight Committee? Yes. Okay. Any further questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Counselor Mangini.
4.
Counselor Matthews.
4.
Counselor Pisner. 4. Deputy Mayor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Thomas.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
4.
Counselor Zanoni.
4.
Counselor Allegro.
4.
Mayor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crissati.
4.
And Counselor Hall.
4.
11 members in favor, none against.
Thank you. F and G go together. I will read them separately, and we will vote on them separately, but I'll have Matt, after we're done, sort of give a synopsis of them both because they are related to the same project. So item 13F is a resolution authorizing the submission of a letter to CROG regarding Franklin and Enfield Street bike path. Be it resolved that the Enfield Town Council authorizes the submission of a letter by the town manager or his designee
to the Capital Region Councils of Governments to modify the above referenced project. Date prepared 1/12/2026 by the Office of Economic and Community Development.
So
Welcome.
moved.
Yes. One.
Second.
Thank you. Welcome,
I
Aaron.
yield my time to.
You'll yield your time? Okay. Perfect.
Good evening, everybody. Aaron Markovich, Office of Economic and Community Development. These letters are related to a project that has been floating around inside our office for several years now. There was proposed to be a bike path on Franklin Street, which is actually State Route 519, and then down Enfield Street, Route 5. And that project, after it went through a full-out design process, met with some concerned citizens, and the project was essentially put on hold. The money didn't go away. It was still within the Lot SIP program, but the project itself got put on hold. So after I started, this project was brought up, and we said, well, what are we going to do with this thing? We don't want to return the money. That's kind of first rule of grant work is don't return the money if you can help it. And so we met with CROG, who administers the Lot SIP program. We met with DOT. We worked out a few different plans. We thought we might have a way to move forward without impacting neighbors. But the final result of this was that we figured that the best way to actually move bicycles from essentially the Windsor Locks Trail across the bridge, we want them to come to Thompsonville. We want them to ride through the center of our downtown, and then we want to pick up the existing bike trail that already exists from Thompsonville to Elm Street, to Enfield Street. That is what we're proposing, is to reallocate these dollars to put a shared, they're called sharrows. It's essentially just a marking that indicates that it's a safe bike route. There's been an initial analysis of Pearl Street that says that that is an okay route to take if you're on a bike because of the speeds and because of the types of traffic that is on it. And then they would pick up the existing bike path and move from there. It is close to $1 million, and we would be reallocating those dollars towards that bike path, those sharrow markings, as well as streetscaping improvements in Thompsonville to match up with the money that we had received from Joe Courtney's office. So it actually is of benefit for us to sort of move them into Thompsonville to the existing streetscaping project. So it is it's still going to be used for bike and pedestrian improvements. It's just not going on Franklin and Enfield Street. It is going down Pearl Street and then onto the bike path. So that's the intention. Part two of this is that we were concerned that by moving this project, the original project included repaving Franklin Street. We were concerned that this meant that Franklin Street might not be paved for several years. So the second letter will actually go to DOT saying that we are not doing this project on Franklin Street, and please place it on your pave list as soon as possible. They indicated to us that it is possible, not a guarantee, but it is possible that it would be paved this year, which we all know if you've used Franklin Street at any point recently, it could use some help. So that is the hope, is that we will get this to DOT. We've had some conversations with the District 1 supervisor, and he has said he's pretty sure that he can get it on the list, but I don't want to guarantee anything. Okay?
Thank you.
If I could reclaim my time real quick. Real quick.
Is that against the rules?
I don't know if it is, but thank you. I just want to say that when we were confronted with this particular issue of potentially not being able to spend money that we were given, I challenged Aaron to figure a way so we can keep the money, spend it, still accomplish most of the goals, and get the street paved. And he achieved that. And I think, what he came up with, the ideas, the people, it was a lot of work on it that he did on our behalf to get us to where we're at today, where we can still use that money, achieve the goals that we have for it, and make Enfield a better place. So, I want to thank him for all the work he did.
I agree. I think this is a really good example of the fact that the goal didn't change, the path to get there did. And so I think that's really important because the town really did hear the residents and the feedback, and we accomplished what we wanted to accomplish just in a different way. And so thank you very much. I appreciate that. Any questions or comments? Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Counselor Mangini.
4.
Counselor Matthews.
4.
Counselor Pisner. 4. Deputy Mayor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Thomas.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
4.
Counselor Zanoni.
4.
Counselor Allegro.
4.
Mayor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
And Counselor Hall.
4.
11 members in favor, none against.
Item 13G, resolution authorizing the submission of a letter to Connecticut DOT regarding Franklin Street. Be it resolved that the Enfield Town Council authorizes the submission of a letter by the town manager or his designee to the Connecticut Department of Transportation to indicate that the project on Franklin Street is no longer being pursued and the street should be added to the paving schedule as soon as possible. Date prepared 1/12/2026 by the Office of Economic and Community Development.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions on this? All right, roll call, please.
Counselor Mangini.
4.
Counselor Matthews.
4.
Counselor Pisner. 4. Deputy Mayor Santinella.
4.
Counselor Thomas.
4.
Counselor Ungary.
4.
Counselor Zanoni.
4.
Counselor Allegro.
4.
Mayor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
And Counselor Hall.
4.
11 members in favor, none against.
Item 13H, resolution to terminate the memorandum of understanding between the Enfield Town Council and the Enfield Board of Education regarding the submission and payment of expenses and costs incurred in fiscal year 2023 to 2024. Whereas in June 2024, the Enfield Town Council entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Board of Education to provide additional funding for expenditures incurred by the board beyond the town's appropriation for the 2023-2024 school year. And whereas the MOU required the board to repay the town $1,701,407.88 for excess expenditures over a 5-year period beginning in fiscal year 2026 and ending in fiscal year 2030. And whereas pursuant to the MOU, an audit has been completed, the board has submitted its budget in the prescribed manner and quarterly financial reports have been provided. And whereas the council now wishes to terminate this MOU. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Enfield Town Council hereby terminates the memorandum of understanding between the Enfield Town Council and the Enfield Board of Education regarding the submission and repayment of expenses that incurred in fiscal year 2023 and 2024. Be it further resolved that Mayor Gina Sakala or her designee is hereby authorized to sign the termination agreement on behalf of the Town Council, and be it further resolved that this termination shall become effective upon mutual agreement of termination by the Board of Education. Date prepared 1/12/2026 by Matt Koppler, Town Manager.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. Questions? Councilor Hall.
So I'm just going to start talking more towards the folks that are watching out there, and the process that we're doing here is a little unusual. Moving these kind of fund transfers without the superintendent here to answer this council's questions is very unusual. When we move money, transfer money as a town, we always have our department heads present. They come up, they explain whatever it is we need them to explain. They answer questions, they give an overview. I did make the request in leadership that the superintendent be here this evening to talk to us a little bit about our questions and concerns with this. I'll speak for myself on this. I think this is highly unusual to do outside of a budget process. I've never seen this kind of money moved in my 25 years of public service without having the department that we're moving the money to present to answer questions. Really unusual to do these kind of transfers that are budget related outside of the budget that aren't related to emergency transfers. Very, very unusual and very out of process. The other thing that I will say that I did make a request for through the town manager's office and a request to the superintendent on their budget allocations and where they were with their reserve funds. the Board of Ed right now in their non-lapsing funds, which the state implemented, a little history on this piece was years ago, the state implemented a program which allowed the Board of Ed to hold back any funds that weren't spent and put in a non-lapsing fund. That's a recent new change to our state legislation. I was extremely supportive of that. I voted for it in the legislature. I think it's a great idea because it encourages Board of Eds not to go on a spending spree June or May of the budget year and exhaust what they have in their budget just to spend it for the sake of spending it, because by state law, you could not carry over funds. So this was a great legislative move, I thought, for the Board of Eds, and it gave them a lot of opportunity to have emergency funds, which they had never had before. The board right now has a $1.3 million, $1.5 million non-lapsing budget balance. They're also, from everything I have heard, I've watched some of their meetings, I've talked to our ranking member on the Board of Ed, and they are going to have a surplus at the end of this year from what it appears to us right now as everything stands. So for me, at multiple levels here, would have loved to have had the superintendent here to kind of address the entire town of Enfield and explain why we're moving money into their budget when they have a huge surplus in their budget. So I'm going to be no on this. It's interesting because if we were discussing the forgiveness of this during budget, I actually would be a yes. And the reason I would be a yes is it would become part of the budget negotiations between the town and the Board of Ed. And that's where this piece, this forgiveness piece, belongs. It belongs in budget negotiations. So I will be a no on this today for several reasons. I wish we were taking it up in budget because I would be voting for it in the negotiations, but I will be a no tonight on this.
Deputy Mayor.
So I just want to clarify one thing for the public. And if you read this resolution, we are not moving one penny from one account to any other account. There is no money being transferred in this. If you read the resolution that we had previously, where we actually did move money, the accounts were enumerated and the amounts being transferred were spelled out. That is not what this is. This is a forgiveness of a future payment, and it's kind of ridiculous that the town is giving somebody $1 and then saying, give it back to me. I agree, this is part of the budget, and this will become part of the budget discussion, but there won't be this need to discuss a payment that we're going to transfer money from the town funds to the Board of Ed funds as part of a budget discussion. It's a wash. So that is all this is forgiving those future payments. And so that's what, I just wanted to clarify that.
Councilor Zanoni.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, I concur with the Deputy Mayor. And in standing with my comments 2 weeks ago, I stated that I would be inclined to support the resolution, and I still am today. I just have a quick clarifying point, which really is for the public's knowledge. So this money was intended to go back into the fund balance. It's nothing that has an impact on the mill rate, correct?
That's accurate. Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I think that's important to note. And I think the discussion of whether it's appropriate for budget season is fair, but I would note that the Board of Education needs to do their budget now. And I think it's important that if we're all in agreement, or most of us are in agreement that this would be appropriate to waive this, that it makes sense to have this conversation now so that we don't have to waste time and energy of them doing a budget that they're later going to have to revise with these funds. And I think what the Deputy Mayor has said makes sense, and I will be supporting the resolution. I would also be appreciative, if possible, if the superintendent could be here tonight, though I will note we all have 2 weeks. We could have emailed questions to ask, And even though those questions might be behind closed doors, it's all public information. At any moment in time, a counselor could share those discussions that they had with the superintendent with members of the public. Thank you.
Thank you. I do know several questions were asked and emailed, and all of them were answered. Yeah, thank you. Councilor Mangini.
Thank you. I definitely am going to support the resolution to reverse, the decision that was made during last council. It just baffles me that we are one town. We are servicing the same community, and we're taking from one pocket and putting it into another pocket makes no sense. So to have, a memorandum of agreement or understanding to do such a thing has always not sat well, with me, primarily because we are servicing the same community. So most definitely this needs to happen, and I'm glad that we're bringing it forward, and the resolution, should, be passed by every member of this council. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Pisner.
So I'm in agreement with Councilor Hall. This is a budget item. I would support it during budget because I honestly do believe it's one hand feeding the other. I just think the timing is off, completely off. This is a matter, we still need to know what they're coming in with a budget. And by watching the town council or the Board of Ed meetings and reading the articles, they're going to be coming in with a pretty high budget. Is this going to be reduced from that? Those are the questions that have to be asked during budget. So we forgive $1.3 million. Is his budget going to come in $1.3 million less? I don't think so. So I'm a no tonight.
Deputy Mayor.
Yep. So I think it's important we are forgiving a payment of an annual payment of $340,000 a year, not a lump sum in the next budget cycle of $1.3 million. And I agree that the budget that's going to come to us from the Board of Education is going to be increased because we just voted on a $1.5 million increase when we all approved the teacher contract. That additional pay is not going to fall out of the sky. So yes, the budget is going to come in probably that much higher unless they can find $1.5 million to carve out of the budget somewhere else. But we've already voted on a tax increase to fund our schools when we voted to approve the teacher contract, which that resolution said there is a budget impact of $1.5 million. And we all knew that, and it was unanimously approved. So I just don't want us to forget what we've already done that is going to impact the budget. So this actually helps a little bit because now they can take this payment out of the budget and apply it towards what we've already approved them to continue to spend. Thank you.
Councilor Crissati.
Yeah, I'm going to be very short on this. Once again, I was not in favor of the monies that was taken away from the Board of Ed in the last budget cycles or over the past few years. And once again, we're looking at these repayments of 5 annual payments that were going to go through the year 2030. By forgiving the payments, it makes the Board of Ed whole, and they're going to be able to move forward with a lot of their programs. Maybe they can start reinstituting programs that were taken away from them, courses that were canceled. You go through their whole budget, and this is going to help with that. And I totally agree in regard to the salaries with the contract just being passed. They're going to have to come up with a budget. We're all going to take a look at it. It's not going to be an easy budget cycle, But once again, being in education, I am definitely in favor of forgiveness of this loan. Once again, I was not in favor of it. And what was done to our education system is going to still take years for us to recoup. We lost a lot of people, a lot of teachers, and programs. And this will help defray that cost.
Thank you. Any additional new comments? Councillor Ungar?
2 weeks ago at our last meeting, I mentioned about the process. And again, I'm still saying it's the same process concern that I have. We always have department heads here when we're making decisions. Donald was here earlier, Aaron was here. And it's just the right way to conduct our business, and the public should know everything that's going on. And a lot of times there's unforeseen circumstances that come up, and this should really wait until budget. And we discuss all the numbers and everything that's going on with the town. So I just think that it's premature just to do it now. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Councillor Hall?
So I respectfully disagree with something that our deputy mayor said, and the reason I do is because we all unanimously supported an increase for our teachers, and I think every one of us up here supports our teachers and education, does not mean we voted for a budget increase. The reason why we go through budget negotiations at budget time is to find savings, to evaluate revenue incomes. So if every time we gave raises to our staff, that was an automatic budget increase, increasing your mill rate, nobody in this town would ever get a raise. So I think it's important to clarify, because you are giving your employees well-deserved raises, that does not equate to a mill rate increase. That is why we do budget negotiations, and that is why this belongs in budget negotiations, in my humble opinion. The numbers, and something else I heard up here was there was so much money taken away from the Board of Ed. Now, these are just notes. I didn't sit here when the huge shortage came up with the Board of Ed, but I understand the council ended up giving the Board of Ed $5.8 million. Nobody took anything away from the Board of Ed. They had huge amounts of money given to them to bail out a shortage. And I think we all read the audit. We all took something different from it. I don't think we're going to agree on what we each took from it. But I will make it very clear that the council never took money away from the Board of Ed. And any cuts that were implemented by the Board of Education were implemented by the Board of Education. They weren't done by this council. So just a few clarifications. I keep hearing these things that are just so far out of whack. I couldn't let that go.
Thank you. In closing, this has been on the agenda. Ironically, this council knew about this resolution longer than it knows about normal resolutions. So the fact that if you had questions that you weren't able to get them answered in the last 2.5 weeks is concerning to me. And lastly, I'm sure if you ask almost any student, almost any teacher, and almost any parent, the town council did take money away from them. The town council did take money away from the Board of Education. So, roll call, please.
Councilor Mangini.
For.
Councilor Matthews.
For.
Councilor Pisner.
Against.
Deputy Mayor Santinella.
4.
Councilor Thomas.
4.
Councilor Ungary.
Against.
Councilor Zanoni.
4.
Councilor Allegro.
4.
Mayor Sakala.
4.
Councilor Crisati.
4.
And Councilor Hall.
Against.
8 members in favor, 3 against.
I, 13I, resolution to increase the fiscal year 2026 appropriation for the town of Enfield Board of Education in the amount of $285,000. Be it resolved, the town council of the Town of Enfield hereby approves an increase of $285,000 for the total school appropriation to $79,617,249. Be it further resolved, the Town of Enfield adopted a budget for appropriated fund balance and then an account number will be increased by $285,000. Date prepared 1/12/2026 by Matt Koppler, Town Manager.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion, questions? Counselor Pisner.
So we had no idea until tonight what this $285,000 was being spent on. And we were given this tonight. There's only one staff position on here. One. Half of one. Well, it's for the half a year. Next year, we'll fill it in. There are 3 different types of floor cushions, which equal about $250,000. Okay. I don't know why we need 306 floor cushions, but I guess it's important. The rest of it is there's the smallest amount is for 2 soccer goals. That's only $19,000. The rest of it is furniture, when I understand that Lego gave us a ton of furniture that's in storage that we could be using, chairs, tables. Why aren't we using that? Why do we need to buy new furniture? I don't understand. But the thing I really don't understand on here is $25,000 for a digital platinum monitor to display the school's achievements. That could pay for a para. So I'm 100% in support of education. Teachers, paras, books, paper. But I'm not going to sit here and support $285 for furniture. This is a wish list, not a need. This is taxpayers' dollars, to me, being wasted. Come up and say to me, this $285,000 is going to buy teachers, paras, school nurses, support staff, and you got a yes. But furniture, you got to know. And honestly, I watched the Board of Ed meeting, and what I was really offended by was the fact that when they said the council asked the Board of Ed what they wanted. There's 11 of us. I know 3 of us right here didn't even get asked. So tonight's a no.
Thank you. Counselor Zanoni.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will be supporting the resolution tonight. I agree with Councilor Pisner regarding some of the items on here that I had questions about, though I think there's some items on here that are important, and it's important for the public to know if you haven't been to some of our schools. Some of the furniture in it's about 60, 70 years old, and that's a safety issue and it's a liability issue. I know that, for instance, some of that's here for the library, that has not been done since they did the addition back in about 2002, so it's nearing about 20 years old. And we're not redoing Enfield High School anytime soon, so taking care of some of those things I think is important. Music is important. And I think the idea behind some of these one-time item expenses is that we wouldn't be putting in positions immediately mid-year, which is already challenging, I can tell you. It's hard to hire people in education at the start of the year. Mid-year, it's appropriating money that's likely not going to end up anywhere with, especially because Enfield, considering surrounding towns, tends to pay paras about significantly less by $5, $6 an hour. So I think putting money behind education in a way that can actually come out with something tangible this year was the ideas behind it. But I appreciate if anyone can see this list here. Originally, it was $318,000. It went down by 10%, which I'm pleased with, to $285,000. I think the number was a little high. I do wish some of the lists were a little more, what do we absolutely need? But I think it's an important thing to do, is to make some investments into our school infrastructure, because we have routinely cut out things from CIP for years and years and years, and many other departments have come before the council over the past year or two to receive additional appropriations. So I will be supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? I will say that, Counselor Pisner, it is really unfortunate that Counselor Hall didn't send this to you when she got it on January 15th. So you really should take that up with your minority leader. And this is something that we did ask the Board of Education and the superintendent. What could we do for you? What can we make an impact for right now for these schools and these students? And this is what they came up with. And so this is what we are going to try to do. Anything else? Counselor Hall.
Quick question, Matt, through the mayor to the town manager. The actual amount of this resolution, it does or does not affect the MBR for the Board of Ed?
So the total amount will impact the MBR.
Okay.
Because all we're doing is increasing their allotment by $285.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that.
And could I just
Go ahead.
real
You've
quick,
been waiting. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
well, accuracy is very important to me. And so on that list, it would probably been good if I explained a little bit more. So I tried to highlight those things that are in that 285. So going down at the very top, of course, is that position, and that's 35,000 of it. But as you go down this list, there's particularly the cushions. Not all those cushions are what are in that 250. There's two that aren't highlighted, so those are not included in that. Just again so it's not all those cushions.
Thank you.
That's it.
Any last comments?
I wasn't finished, so I'm going to finish my comment. So the original list that we received that Zach referenced was for the last resolutions that did not make it onto the agenda. So those were, the last list I got had everything you referenced on it, Zach. And the other point that is really important here, and the reason I ask about the MBR is that anytime we increase the Board of Ed's budget, the MBR is referencing what your minimum budget requirements are going to be the following year. So anytime you do anything outside of budget with the Board of Ed's financing, you are increasing what our obligation is going to be in the following budget. That goes to the whole point of why this all needs to go back to budget deliberations. You look at the budget as a whole, and the piece that comes out of the taxpayer's pocket needs to be discussed and negotiated. This takes all of this piece, and the total that we are forgiving, I know Deputy Mayor referenced the yearly payments, which he was absolutely correct in, but the total number of forgiveness is $1.32 million. It's a lot of money. And you can say it's going from one pocket to the other, but if you take that attitude, then why do we have any MOUs between the town and the Board of Ed? Why don't we just eliminate all of them? We have MOUs for IT. We have MOUs for school security. We have a lot of MOUs with the school. So you can't just say it's going from the same pocket to the same pocket, because they're two separate budgets. State statute did it that way for a reason. So that's all I'll say on it. I will be a no on this. And I go to the fact that the board is sitting on $1.5 million in their reserve account. So if these are priorities, they have the money to do it. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
So I have sat here and we have appropriated $700,000 for pickleball courts off budget. Like weeks after we do a budget, we suddenly have money to do pickleball courts. I've been here when we cut police cruisers and then suddenly find money outside of budget for police cruisers. And we voted unanimously for all of those things because they were the right thing to do. Yet, we want to give $285,000 to our kids, and it's bedlam. I just don't get it. And I'm going to just say this again. 8 weeks ago, I sat here and I said that I speak on behalf of the majority of the people here that this war on our kids is done and we're going to send help. That's what we're doing tonight. It's a little bit that we can do now, and we'll see what we can do later, but we're going to fix the problem. The best thing that we could have done was not lay off 90 teachers and let another 40 of them walk out the door. If we really wanted to save money, that would have been a better idea. Now we're behind the 8 ball, and it's going to cost us God knows how much to rebuild the staff that our kids deserve. So I understand it's off budget, but you know what? When you can't fight on the substance, you fight about the process. I don't have patience for that. So I am fully supporting this, as I'm sure people.
Any last comments? Councilor Crissati.
Yes. Looking at this list that we have, which include, the increase of 285,000, I'm really happy. Once again, let's not lose sight of the fact that we have a music program that's being instituted, which is paramount. Second of all, the information that was presented to us and highlighted by the town manager, which I definitely appreciate, which really highlights the equipment that probably could have been in their budget last year and in the previous year, but they couldn't because their hands were basically tied on certain things that they had to say what was going to be a priority. This equipment that is in this particular $285,000 package is necessary. This is necessary. This is equipment and furniture that is needed within the classrooms and needed within the schools, period. And once again, we're here to support education. We're here to try to get them to a different level than where they were previous. So once again, I will be supportive of this, and I will be supportive of anything in regard to education, regardless of, respectfully listening to what everybody has to say tonight.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilor Mangini. For. Councilor Matthews. For. Councilor Pisner.
Against.
Deputy Mayor Santinella.
For.
Councilor Thomas.
For.
Councilor Ungary.
Against.
Councilor Zanoni.
For.
Councilor Allegro.
For.
Mayor Sakala.
For.
Councilor Crissati.
For.
Councilor Hall.
Against.
8 members in favor, 3 against.
Item 14, items for discussion, there is none. Item 15, any other business proper to come before said meeting? There is none. 16, public communications. Is there anyone in the public who would like to speak to the council or at public communications? You would get 3 minutes. Anyone? Going once? Going twice? All right. And moving on to councilor communications. Deputy Mayor.
So through the mayor to the town manager, something was said earlier, and I just want to say something to you. I know what it's like when people tell you you don't care or you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, because that's happened to me. But I just want to say right now, I think you're doing a darn good job, and you have so much on your plate, and your staff is taking on so many things. I just want you to know from me, and I think many people here feel the same way, and it's good to hear it publicly, you're doing a good job. And so don't let anybody tell you that you don't care. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Crissati.
Thank you. And I was remiss to mention this before. To Councilor Ungary, thank you very much for what you did for everybody. this was actually kind of made, well, you did make my night, so thank you very much. Made me look pretty good, so that's pretty good.
It's amazing what AI.
Oh, man. But thank you. And Matt, keep up the great work. Thanks.
Thank you. Counselor Pisner.
I would like to wish my counselor here a very happy birthday. It is Cindy's birthday tomorrow. So I would like to wish her a very happy, and a blessed birthday. May God be with you this year.
We'll sing for you tomorrow.
We don't sing. We're not a singing counselor.
Some of us will sing tomorrow. We'll sing. Yeah. Some of you will not. Yeah. We'll sing tomorrow. All right. All right. Motion to adjourn, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Counselor Thomas. Seconded by Deputy Mayor. All in favor? Thank you. Motion passed. We are adjourned.